Welcome back to One Comic Book a Day, where we're covering Action Comics 179, Super Manor, which is a very vague title for a story, and coming right after the Superman 81 titles, it's especially non-specific, and really doesn't get across what this story is. It's really about finding Superman's hometown, and him being a burden to said hometown. It's a National Town Week, and all the towns across the nation, as in National Town, they want their town to stand out and be unique. And the best idea they all have is to have Superman come move to their town. Now, Superman has a hometown. It is Metropolis. And if we get into it later, we know that he's from Smallville. And Smallville is sort of his hometown because that's where he was raised. Apparently, we're taking the meaning of town and hometown to be pedantic, that it can't be a city, which is fascinating because I was technically born and raised in a city. The city is my hometown. There were two separate cities, by the way. It's just the nomenclature. Now, Superman tries to get across to these people this would be a very bad idea, and essentially they don't give up. So he eventually chooses a town by throwing a log at a large map he drew and ends up in Mapleville. And essentially what the rest of the story is going to be is about the town learning why you wouldn't want Superman to be living in your town, what he tried to warn them all at the beginning. But first things first, a criminal gives him a bloodhound to live with him. You might think this is random, but this comes up because we kind of needed a climax, because they didn't quite go with the climax you would sort of assume for the story. I mean, they could have. It has the third act of the story is almost its own separate story, while the first two acts really deal with the hometown part. So Superman moves to Mapleville, and things seem good at first. Except the tourism, which they thought would be a huge benefit, is a massive problem. Not only are there crowds of people who are littering, but there's so much mail coming in from Superman, and in both cases, Superman is using his powers and helping out with it, but it is a huge burden because it's a small town. It does not have the infrastructure to deal with a mass tourism. A lot of places don't. Tourism is actually, for certain areas of the world, especially with the propagation of areas in TikTok, we're kind of destroying a lot of natural creations. It's a huge problem. Tourism can be a massive problem, even with the amount of money it makes for the place in question. Even with all that extra money, it takes a Superman to deal with the problem. They would have to employ so many mailmen to deliver the mail that it wouldn't quite be a small town at that point. But the final straw is he has to constantly go fly out and save people across the world. And he kind of sonic booms when he does, and he's like a whole nuisance for the entire neighborhood or possibly the entire town, waking people up in the middle of the night with a sonic boom. Babies, no one is getting a good rest. It's like having an Air Force base right next to you. Not even like space, it's just right there, and there's jets flying in and out, going as fast as they possibly can. So, of course, mob happens, and they're going to burn him in effigy, and that's what makes him decide to leave. Now, this feels like the natural progression of what the story should have ended with, but there's still an extra bit. Turns out the criminal gets back the Bloodhound, and the Bloodhound now will search out Superman. Okay, this is just absurd. We didn't need this extra part. It should have been more about Superman trying to live in the small town. This almost has absolutely nothing to do with that. It feels like they wanted the stakes to personally affect Superman and his secret identity, which is where they generally go in the 1950s when it comes to conflict for Superman. But the main conflict of the story is already over. And this is settled because this is maybe 2 pages. And it's settled fairly easily. Once the Bloodhound tracks him down to the Daily Planet, Superman sets off the sprinklers and the dog can't trace him anymore, which is fascinating, seeing that this dog was able to track Clark across the nation, and sprinklers going off ruins it at the 5-yard line. It's a weird choice. A dog that can track him through the nation wouldn't have trouble with sprinklers when he's right there. So maybe cut that out and expand upon him with the town, especially the mob conflict. He gives up fairly easily. I mean, he should. But I feel like there's more of a conflict coming, and there's also so many other problems. Not a single supervillain tried to attack him while he was in town. So 2/3 of a story that really works, and then just an extra bit that was really unnecessary. Okay, that is it from Action Comics 179. Super Manor. So you didn't even talk about the manor in question. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notification when a new video goes up. I do this Monday through Friday, but Fridays is Bat Friday, where I cover a Batman story and other Detective Comics or Batman. And until next time, let's ponder the question, whatever did happen to the Man of Tomorrow? What happened to Mapleville? I feel like they were down a lot of money by the end of that. Okay, have a great day.